Oh, we're on again. All right, I've been told by the director that I'm recording now. Okay, this is going to be the first of our Confederate Minute given by Isenhour. That's me. And we're going to talk about a subject that most people are familiar with in the South, and that is Abraham Lincoln. We don't hold him in high esteem. However, when we're out there in the public, the general perception of Mr. Lincoln was he was a founding father, which he was anything but a founding father. He might have been a founding destroyer. So we have to kind of look into why do evangelical Christians, good people, good solid people, good constitutional people claim that this man saved the Union, so to speak. He destroyed this country, and he was not a Christian. He never was a Christian. He himself said he was an agnostic, and he believed in the doctrine of necessity. That was his worldview, the doctrine of necessity. Look that one up, children. That's going to blow your mind. That is something that a Marxist would even blow his mind. So the doctrine of necessity that we know that he believed in because of his friends and the quotes that they did with him. In fact, his wife, his law partner, all spoke about Lincoln's agnostic beliefs. He did not believe he was a fatalist, and he did not believe in Christianity. He actually made fun of Christians whenever he could. He thought going to church and all this kind of stuff was for the for the weak-minded and all this type of stuff. In fact, he's quoted as saying that he was a Baptist. Well, as you know, being a good Lutheran myself, I'm not a Baptist. However, Mr. Lincoln was never a Baptist. He deplored the Baptist church and everything else, but he would say on the campaign trail, particularly in the 1840s, when he was out there running for Congress, that his parents were good Baptists. You see that he would always do that little sleight of hand. He always talked the word about, oh, God did this, God did that, and he talked the word, but he didn't believe the word, and he was a false prophet in all forms. He was. So we've got to look at this doctrine of necessity a little bit harder. The doctrine of necessity basically says that really God doesn't even exist, that man only exists through the carnal, the nature of just being some type of animal and such, and that they have no destiny, no way to change history, no way to change your life. You just are a kind of a being that walks around the earth. Just you are here. And somebody, and Mr. Lincoln is not, the doctrine of necessity does not say it was God or anything. It's just that the law of nature just made us all predestined to do whatever we're going to do, and we cannot intervene in history. So we have to dispel this notion that Lincoln was a Christian. He was not a Christian. He was not close to a Christian. He was the opposite of a Christian. In fact, we know he was a Marxist. He was big pen pals with Karl Marx himself and Engels, Karl Marx's partner. He also was an associate and a contemporary of right here in the United States of Robert Owen. Robert Owen came over from Scotland, and he was an avowed socialist and actually had a commune in the 1820s. Let me refer to that. The 1820s, Mr. Owen was in Indiana with his commune. So we actually had communism, what we now call communism, started with communes as early as the 1820s in this country. And Mr. Owen actually became a congressman. And he and Lincoln were contemporary congressmen in the Congress together, and they were friends. And Mr. Lincoln had a lot to do with supporting the communist notions that were beginning with Marx and Engels in this country. So he was not a Christian. Marxists are not Christians. And so that's what we got to dispel. He was not a founding father. He destroyed what the founding fathers did. Mr. Lincoln, in fact, as you all know, I don't think very highly of him. He was an illegitimate bastard. And he was born, like it says, an illegitimate bastard in North Carolina. And he talked a big game. But Mr. Lincoln was not a country bumpkin that learned how to read the Bible by firelight. This man never read the Bible at all. He says he never read the Bible. But he did quote old euphemisms and stuff that made you think that he was a Christian on your side. As again, let us keep in mind, Satan himself quoted the Bible to Jesus Christ in the wilderness. So the Satan is very familiar with the Bible, such as Lincoln was. Lincoln, being the minion of Satan, was very, very concerned that the Bible was just another way to keep people dumb and everything else. He was not a Christian. We have to dispel this. That's why you need to read and tell people about the doctrine of necessity and other things. He was a Marxist. He was a believer. His worldview was the doctrine of necessity. and which is a predestination kind of a it's a very complex thing to read about. That's why I'm saying we got to look into this thing. You got to read this stuff because you can't believe all this stuff, what these people thought at the time. But what hurts us the most is that somehow the South was bad. Lincoln was the savior, the Christian savior of the nation, and of course freeing the slaves, all that nonsense and stuff. But Lincoln, they have used him and they've made him into this god. And you look at him, he's looked as a god. Look at the Lincoln Memorial. That is a god figure. That's Zeus actually sitting on the throne. So we have created in this country, the Yankees created him as a god to put down the South, and he was used in that capacity after the war and to this current day. So Christians who believe that they should be a Lincoln follower, I would suggest that you quit thinking that and learn who this man was and quit falling for the notion that somehow this man was a Christian. Now, the purpose of this Confederate Minute is to kind of get folks thinking about these type of things. And we use all kind of source materials, but one of the books that we use comes from the Sea Raven Press, which this one are the lies that Yankees tell. And it's a very good book that talks about this and other things about Mr. Lincoln. And we're trying to educate ourselves in this fight that we're in. Because, again, people are coming to us telling us things, and it sounds right. I mean, everybody says, I mean, when I was a kid, Mr. Lincoln was right, did not tell a lie, right? All that kind of stuff. That's ridiculous. Mr. Lincoln was a liar. He was a thief. He was a murderer. He was a godless man. And I can guarantee you that under that concrete that they put on top of him after they buried him the third time up there in Illinois, he is very happily resting in Satan's bosom right now in hell. So he is no Christian. So again, y'all can comment on this, and I look forward to your comments, and I'm going back and forth. What this program is trying to do is get people thinking about this. And I don't want people coming here challenging me. I want you to have your discussions. And again, I will not take anybody who goes on here and uses foul language, except for me. I do cuss occasionally, it's just me. But I'm not going to have people come on here and demigod what we're saying. We're trying to open up the dialogue and read real history about Mr. Lincoln. This is all documented stuff. I'm not making up any of it. His law partner, which was with him for most of his life and through the presidency, even though he was shot, his wife and other people who knew him intimately, they are the ones that tell us about this, Mr. Lincoln. In his own words, he tells us about this. So it's time to get educated from what we've been told as children, which are lies about Lincoln. Lincoln, at best, is a horrible human being. He was a murderer of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Americans, and he destroyed this country. And everything we see in today, right now, in this big government takeover that we're seeing right now, with the Democrats doing their stuff, all came from Mr. Lincoln. So, again, I look forward to y'all's responses, and thank you for listening to me, and we'll talk to you later.